Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be discussing my opinions about what I think is the worst villain the Flash has ever had. That's what this is going to be. It's a discussion video. It's not really a theory video, it's my opinions. So, yeah. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe for new, notifications on. And before we get into the video, I wanted to just let some of you know, because I know a lot of you only watch the intro and like 2 minutes of the actual video, so I figured I'd say it now instead of in the outro. We are coming down to the end of The Flash Season 8. What that means is the content for The Flash Season 8 is coming down as well. After the finale for Flash Season 8 airs at the end of June, I have at least 2 Flash Season 8 videos planned. I'm not going to say what they are yet. And then that will be it. Now, there will be Flash videos after, but they will mainly be for Flash Season 9. My theories about what I think could happen in that season, news videos for Season 9. I might do like a villain ranking, but it won't really regard anything to Season 8, at least in a major way. But otherwise, other than that, I have 2 more videos after the finale airs at the end of June, and that'll be the end of Season 8 content. We're going to be going to Season 9 pretty much the week after the finale airs, even under that. I have a lot of videos planned, and also for Stargirl, Supergirl, and Lois, I have a ton of videos planned for those shows as well, but The Flash will be the main content carrying this channel until it comes back next year with Season 9. So we're finishing out Season 8 strong with a lot of videos. Season 9, we're going to pick it up right after until the season actually starts airing. And then we'll get into what we're doing now, promo breakdowns, reviews, news videos, discussion videos, and theory videos. So I hope you guys stick around for that. Thank you for all the support lately. I appreciate it. Let's get right into the video. So, again, this is my opinion. I know everyone thinks it's different, but I think DeVoe is easily the worst villain on The Flash. Cicada, I know people don't like Cicada, but he made sense. He took away Barry's powers. Barry couldn't just go in and just, beat him up and put him in a cell. Same with Deathstorm and Despero. Where would he put Despero? Despero was an all-powerful alien. Like, he was a real threat. Deathstorm, Barry couldn't even touch. His powers couldn't affect him. The only way that Deathstorm could be stopped was by Frost, and she died trying to do it. I mean, it worked, but she still died. So, those 2 villains make sense. Ava, it made sense because they made Barry lose his speed. It made sense. Bloodwork was an amazing villain. While he couldn't take away Barry's powers, we didn't really see him being the villain until much later in that first graphic novel, Season 6. Which even worked better because the season was split up. If Season 6 had Bloodwork being the main villain for 22 episodes or however long it was, obviously because the COVID was cut short, but if it was a regular long season, it would have been so screwed over. Which is where I think Season 4 went really south. Season 4 was, I think, a great season. I think it really felt like a new show coming in. And dealing with Barry with this new speed, even though he wasn't, I guess, that fast. I mean, we did one of the best episodes throughout this entire show happened in that season. And that was the Flash Time episode, which I believe was 415. And where we saw Barry literally running faster than a nuclear explosion. Just under the hair of the speed of light. Someone calculated, and they're pretty accurate. And that's one of the best episodes the show's ever had. Now, DeVoe, the casting was great. The Thinker was great. The problem is that Barry could have stopped them in under a millisecond, and it just caused a lot of problems, right? I get why they couldn't do that, because then there wouldn't be a season. And he was the big bad of that entire season. But can you imagine if Eric Wallace was the showrunner then? And he had brought in this graphic novel in Season 4, where we had DeVoe for the first half of the season, and it actually worked? I think that would have worked a lot better for having DeVoe for like 6 or 7 episodes than the whole 23. The reason Deathstorm, the reason Bloodwork, the reason Despero worked as villains, and you could argue Ava, was because they didn't have these 20 to 23 episode long story arcs. It was down to 5 episodes, maybe 8 max. Eric Wallace is doing the right thing. I don't care if you think this isn't right. Season 6, Season 7, Season 8, whatever you think about the Forces or Godspeed arc, it was better than having those story arcs going on for a whole season. That would be horrible for the show. At least we're getting new storylines and like 2 to 3 storylines a season. Season 2 we got 2, Season 7 we got 2, Season 8 we're getting 3, Armageddon, the Deathstorm 3 arc, and the last part of Season 8, which is the 818 to 820, which is more than likely going to be revolved around Thawne coming back and possibly someone else, who knows, or at least by a villain. I mean, we know someone else is coming in, but we don't know who yet, which is surprising, but I've already done a full video over that. Nonetheless, go check that out. They all worked well, whether you like them or not. It worked well for the season because it wasn't that long. It wasn't being dragged out. As I said, DeVoe could have been stopped like that. It wouldn't have taken that long for Barry to go in the Flash time, pick him up, put him in a cell, put Marlize in the jail cell. There you go. It's not that hard. We see Barry in Season 8 literally stopping like 4 crimes at once in under a minute, if that. Like, we're seeing him doing all these things in Season 8 and Season 5-ish, and also Season 4. Later saw him run faster than a nuke, but he can't run fast enough to put DeVoe in a cell. And because that didn't happen, I mean, DeVoe not only took over all the bust metas, he was really overpowered, couldn't be touched because he had Ralph's powers, which is indestructible, he can't be hurt. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, the finale of Season 4 was amazing. Everything, I loved that finale. But it could have all been better if DeVoe wasn't the big bad. And if they split the season up into 2 sections, where we had DeVoe in the beginning and some random villain, in the back half. I don't know who it would have been, but it would have been nice if they'd done that. Now, this is for Todd, when he was the showrunner in Season 6. Eric Wallace took over, which is why we got the graphic novels, and why the show is doing well in my eyes. And then Season 7 got screwed over because of COVID. Back half Season 6 got screwed over because of COVID. Season 8 is really good. And it's because of Eric Wallace. Whether you want to admit that or not, I don't care. It is a fact that Eric Wallace saved this show, and he proved that in the first half of Season 6, and then he got completely screwed over by COVID. That was not Eric Wallace's fault. Yeah, Superman and Lois was working during COVID, but look at Season 2 right now. We've had so many month-long breaks due to them having COVID issues. The Flash would have had a lot more if they were going to have their season the way they wanted it to go. We wouldn't have had Season 7 for a long time. Thank God we got that season. We're going to Season 8 like that and not have to worry about that much crappy of a season. But again, Season 8 really is redeeming the show. If you look, and everyone is coming back to watch The Flash, they're watching Season 8 and they're loving it. I just watched a video about someone who was saying that The Flash can only be redeemed, but Season 8 is redeeming the show. That person even admitted that. And he's non-stop hating on The Flash, and he even admitted that Season 8 is bringing back the show. It's bringing in all these factors that we've wanted from The Flash since the pilot, since Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's bringing in all these things that we've been wanting, and Eric Wallace is doing that. I think DeVoe, the only reason they made DeVoe the Season 4 villain was because they had to. Because they put themselves in a position where when they brought in Kadabra in Season 3, when he mentioned Thawne, Zoom, and DeVoe, but Savitar was his worst enemy ever, we didn't have DeVoe yet, they crossed their hands there and they had to bring in DeVoe. Now, they could have easily prevented that. They could have brought up some other Speedster, which I know we were probably getting sick and tired of Speedster villains. but they're the most threat to Barry. Having a non-speedster villain is done well, like Bloodwork, Deathstorm, Despero, those 3 villains right there, they're one of the best villains on this show next to Thawne and Zoom. To me, at least. And while, again, the cast of DeVoe was amazing. The writing was, you could argue, but it worked. You know what I mean? But the idea that we would have 23 episodes for DeVoe as the big bad with it being carried out, it just didn't sit well with me. There was no reason to drag it out. Now, when I was watching season 4, when it was on, because I wasn't doing YouTube then, I wouldn't mind it. I didn't really think much about it. But the more and more I watch this show, and I've been watching since middle of season 3, and then I binge watched season 1 and 2 to catch up, you really have to look at how this show has changed since season 1. In season 1 and 2, they worked because it was a speedster villain. It made sense that he wouldn't show up every now and then because they're planning something. DeVoe, he's the smartest, he has the fastest mind ever. Faster than Barry's, or at least, then that Barry. Not now, probably. I would hope so, but it made sense as to why DeVoe planned for everything, and I'm sure if Barry put him in a cell, he would have gotten out somehow, some way, because he had probably planned for it. But at the same time, they still stopped him. And yeah, it was because Ralph took over his body and they could change him back, which made 0 sense because he had none of the powers, which is, I think, lazy writing, but you can argue that. But if you really look at it, yes, The Flash was great season 4. It wasn't that good, though. It was great, but majority of things in that season were not good. We had a lot of Iris being Team Flash, or being the leader of Team Flash, even though Barry was back. There was a lot of back and forth with what her role was. Then we have Barry being the leader, but at the same time we're dealing with Iris being leader, and at the same time we're dealing with arguments going on every now and then. It was just a mess. And then we're dealing with DeVoe, who could have easily been stopped before he killed any of those, all 12 of those bus masters, even one of them. Barry could have stopped him like that, but didn't. Because he had to stop and ask questions. That went away when season 8 came up. I mean, it's still there. I mean, 816, as I mentioned several times, was the worst episode of season 8. Because Barry watched the explosion go off when he could have gone to Flash and ran away. It's not the bad guy. He didn't. But that's what I mean. We're dealing with season 4 picking up the show and then bringing it right back down to season 5 where the show just did not do well. Even though I didn't really like that season well either, just for whatever reason, but Cicada worked because he had a reason for Barry not to stop him right away. Because there wasn't a reason for Barry to stop him right away. Because he had a power dampening freaking thing, dagger. Like, it was impossible for Barry to stop him. Bloodwork really didn't show you as a villain until, 606? 2 episodes before the finale of that story arc? Like, and that was a heat up. That was like a finale, series finale type, or season finale I meant, like, event, and it made sense right before Crisis. Well, that wasn't good, but it was still a good lead up. And we were dealing with Barry dealing with Crisis. It made sense. Season 4, it was just, what the hell? There's 0 reason for any of this to be happening. Why are we here? What's the point? There was 0 reason for it. And so, I think DeVoe, if DeVoe came back now, he would have only been in for 1 episode, if that, and Barry would have stopped him like that. Unless there was something going on where Barry Speed was messing around with, or Barry was having, he was just distracted by a loss, again, at 8:15, I think it was, or no, 8:14, with that weekly Big Bad that we've been getting, where Barry couldn't stop him because he was distracted with Frost Death and also trying to save a bunch of people. Because Team Flash was all screwed up. That made sense. That worked because they made it work. The writing made it work perfectly. Whether you want to admit that or not is on you. But it did work. If you really look at it, it did work. So I do think what we've been dealing with for the last year of The Flash in season 8, well, not year, but you know what I mean, the last several months, 'cause I think it's coming up on a year, frankly. Or no, December will be a year season 8. Nonetheless, because I don't remember what his name started premiere, because we had so many breaks, or at least a, 3-month long break? I think it started in December of last year, but season 8 is redeeming the show. And I do think if we brought DeVoe back for like one episode, or even season 9, he would have been stopped easily by the writing, and the Flash being how powerful he is now. It would have worked. It really would have, instead of having it dragged out for 20 episodes. I think if it was executed better, it could have worked, but it wasn't. Therefore, I think he's the worst one on the show. And easily, no matter what villains we get in season 9, the worst one we'll ever have in this show until the series is done. I don't care if they bring in the Trickster again and make him a big bad for a story arc. I mean, DeVoe could have been really executed better than what we got. And I think it was simply because it was being dragged out for 23 episodes. And compared to the 6 to 8 episodes that we get for a villain now, it was just dragged out way, way, way too much for me as a viewer. Looking back now, it's like, no. There's no way I would sit through 23 episodes just to watch a big bad magically get away from Barry when he could have stopped him like that. There was zero reason for that. Looking back, I see that. I didn't see it when I was watching it. But looking back, I was really like, this was bad. Like, Cicada was a better villain than DeVoe, because at least he made sense why he couldn't be stopped. DeVoe, he could have been stopped easily, but Barry just didn't do it, because the writing needed him to do it. Which, like, 8/16. Now, before I get more hate comments, I'm going to stop talking, but yeah, that's why I think DeVoe is the worst. Let me know in the comments down below your opinions about all this. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.